my name is Michelle Pantoja with the Brighton Park Neighborhood Council. Welcome to today's show. BPNC is a community-based nonprofit organization on the southwest side of Chicago, located at 4477 South Archer. BPNC was founded 20 years ago by community members who were determined to bring additional resources into the community and hold their elected officials accountable. Our mission is to create a safer community, improve the learning environment at public schools, preserve affordable housing, provide a voice for youth, protect immigrant rights, promote gender equality, and end all forms of violence. We also offer direct services such as assisting registering for LIHEAP and housing counseling services. We're also based in many of the schools in the Brighton Park neighborhood. We run after-school programs, violence prevention initiatives, and adult education classes. So today I'll be sharing BPNC housing announcements and also an update on DACA with Chicago Law and Education Foundation lawyer Tim Meyers. If you have any questions throughout the show, please call us at 312-738-1060. Hi Tim, welcome to our show today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your work, the work that you do?
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. My name's Tim Meyers, and I'm the legal director for Chicago Law and Education Foundation. And basically what we do is we run free legal clinics in the Chicago public schools on the southwest sides of Chicago. It's free and open to the public. We can provide free advice and possibly free legal representation if you qualify for our services. And it doesn't even just have to be immigration. You know, if you have an issue with maybe a landlord, or if you have an issue with custody, expungement, really anything, you know, come into our legal clinics, and with a free consult, we can maybe help you out with your problem.
We will return to today's topic in a little bit, but first I want to highlight some of the programs that our housing department is currently offering. So the Brighton Park Neighborhood Council provides rental counseling to tenants and landlords about their rights and their responsibilities. So our program offers workshops to educate individuals on the eviction process, the Keep Chicago Renting Ordinance, fair housing, and tenant and landlords' rights and responsibilities. We also offer additional resources that would help individuals resolve their renting disputes. So our counselors will assist landlords and tenants to drafting leases, letters to immediate housing issues with landlords and tenants, and conduct referrals for legal and rental assistance. BPNC is also committed to help guide, educate, and empower current and future homeowners. So that's why our program consists of 8 hours of education and counseling to meet HUD's requirements. The program is designed to offer individual counseling and group education where you will learn about the home buying process, credit, money management, the different mortgage products, down payment assistance programs, and all the information and knowledge necessary to purchase a house in the Chicagoland area. After completion of the program, a certificate will be provided to potential homeowners. But BPNC is also a HUD-approved or nonprofit organization that offers foreclosure prevention. So if you already have a home and are having trouble, we offer counseling free of charge. We can help you to assist for a loan modification or other home retention and transitional alternatives such as the Illinois Hardest Hits Fund. So if this applies to you or your family, please call our office today at 773-523-71010. Again, the number is 773-523-7110. Or for more information. Or you could also check us out on Facebook. We post all of our housing workshops, housing events, housing seminars on there, and on our website, which is bpncchicago.org. So if you have any questions throughout the show about DACA, please call us today at 312-738-1060. So as we already know, Trump rescinded DACA, which is a deferred action for childhood arrivals. DACA gave youth the opportunity to work and pursue their education. Without DACA, hundreds of thousands of young adults will lose their access to higher education, or they will lose their jobs, and their access to higher education will be limited. In Brighton Park and throughout the country, families are struggling to understand what this will mean for their future. In this moment of uncertainty, we must believe in the strength of our community to come together and remain united and resilient in the face of this injustice. DACA was created after thousands of undocumented youth organized and came out of the shadows to demand recognition for their right to dignity and respect. The Trump administration's decision will not take away their leadership strength and determination to continue to fight for the rights of all immigrants. So if you have any questions, please call us at 312-738-1060. So Tim, with DACA, who qualifies for DACA? Because this isn't a program for everyone, is it?
Yeah, so DACA is a program that's only for certain people who are undocumented in this country. So if you arrived to the U.S. before you turned 18, before you turned 16, and if you are enrolled in school or graduated from high school, taking GED classes, or honorably discharged from the military, basically you, before the Trump announcement, could apply for DACA. And with that DACA, you could get a work permit and a social.
Okay, perfect. And can you tell us what kind of benefits DACA provides recipients? So you mentioned a social. What else are DACA recipients able to do?
Yeah, so like I said, DACA recipients, when they're approved, receive a work permit from the government, and that allows them to work lawfully in the United States. With that work permit, they can also apply for a social security number. And what's important to remember about DACA, though, is it's not a legal status. DACA is not a pathway to citizenship, nor a way to get a green card or to petition for family members. Basically, what DACA is permission from the government to stay in the U.S. for periods of 2 years at a time and to work lawfully in order to help support themselves.
So what is currently happening? What is going to happen to DACA? So what's happening now and what's going to happen to DACA?
Okay, so on November 5th, Donald Trump announced that he was ending the DACA program and was going to do so with a 6-month wind down. So since that happened, there have been a lot of contradictory messages, right? So, on one hand, you have immigration saying things like, if you have DACA, you should be preparing to leave once your work permit runs out. But then you also have Trump going on Twitter and saying things like, dreamers don't need to worry, we're going to take care of you. So with all these contradictory messages, it can be kind of hard to figure out what actually is going on with this announcement. Basically, it's somewhere in between of what Trump and immigration are saying, right? So basically with this wind down, if you have not yet applied for DACA, you can no longer apply for DACA for the first time.
Okay.
But if you have DACA, you may still have a chance to renew your DACA one more time. Now, with the wind down, it's basically saying that you will maintain your DACA status until your work permit expires. So if your work permit expires after March 5th, basically this is your last go around on DACA. And as soon as your work permit expires, you will be out of DACA status. But if your work permit expires before March 5th, you still have a chance until October 5th to renew your work permit. And then you'll have 2 more years of DACA, and you will have that status until that work permit runs out.
Okay, well, good to know. So you mentioned that we have that cutoff period, but what will happen to youth who can't apply for DACA anymore? Or people who never had the opportunity to apply to DACA in the first place?
Yeah, so there's a lot of uncertainty right now. So first I want to talk a little bit about what's going on politically, and then I want to talk about how this affects individuals. So politically speaking, we sort of have this deadline, right, when DACA totally ends for everyone. And that is March 5th, when the 6-month wind down ends. So there's been a lot of talk in Congress about what laws they can pass to sort of replace DACA. And a lot of these laws are very politically popular, and even Trump has voiced support for them. So one of the possibilities would be the DREAM Act. And the DREAM Act would be a really good option because, as I was saying before, DACA is not a legal status, right? But with the DREAM Act, people who qualify for DACA would eventually be able to qualify for a green card and have a pathway to citizenship. So that would be really great if that got passed, right? Another option is the Bridge Act. So the Bridge Act would be pretty good too. It would basically be like a DACA law. So once the Bridge Act is passed, you would be able to apply for DACA and still have that sort of temporary permission to stay, just like DACA. And because it's a law, the president wouldn't be able to cancel it on a whim. So that would be pretty great too.
Does the Bridge Act also provide a pathway to citizenship?
Unfortunately, the Bridge Act does not. Okay. That's why the DREAM Act would be a best case scenario. There is one more possibility. I think it's kind of remote, but that would be comprehensive immigration reform. So DACA only addresses the situation of undocumented people who arrive before they turn 16. And we all know there's a lot of other undocumented people here in the United States. If comprehensive immigration reform passed, that could possibly lead to a path to legalization for all undocumented people and not just people who qualify for DACA.
Oh, that would be great.
Oh, right. So we talked about the legislative realities, right? But, people are worried right now because, when you apply for DACA, you're giving immigration a lot of information, right? First of all, you're saying to immigration, hey, I'm undocumented. Here's my address. Here's my contact information. Please allow me to stay in the country in exchange for this information. So once DACA ends, what's immigration going to do with all this information? And that's the question on a lot of people's minds. So what immigration has said is they're not going to proactively give information to ICE officials for enforcement unless the people meet their guidelines to do so. Which I would explain the guidelines, but really this seems kind of like an empty statement. Okay. Because ICE can still ask for this information if they want to. And, we don't really know in what types of cases ICE would ask for information on DACA recipients. So all I can really do is speculate. And basically what I've seen from ICE in the past is they tend to target specific individuals. And that's individuals with criminal records and gang affiliation. And they do this because honestly they don't have the resources to deport 800,000 people that are on DACA. So imagine you got served deportation papers under Obama. You'd probably have to wait 3 years for your immigration trial. So how are you going to add 800,000 people to that system? So I bring this up in order to say that I don't think there's going to be mass roundups of people with DACA. There could be targeted attempts to get people with criminal records or gang affiliation once their DACA runs out. But even that is uncertain.
Okay. In regards to the gang database, so Chicago does have a gang database that we're currently fighting to have access to. We don't know how people or how the Chicago Police Department assigns people to the gang database, but we do know that it's extremely confidential. And we believe, BPNC believes that we should have access to the gang database. It should be made public because like how Tim said, a lot of times that could be used in deportation cases. So this is one other attack on our immigrant community. But thanks so much for the information. Tim, what happens with people with jobs? So if I'm a DACA recipient, I have a job, my 2 years run up or I don't qualify for the renewal, what happens to people with DACA?
Yeah, so if your DACA runs out, technically you're not authorized to work in the United States. And I say technically because some employers aren't going to check whether you're still authorized. The problem is, you're not legally authorized to work. So if an employer asks for your work permit and it's expired, you may lose your job. But that's the employer's responsibility. If the employer doesn't ask you for your work permit, it's not a crime to keep working, though it may have potential immigration consequences down the line. But those are even a bit remote.
Okay. So how can we prepare ourselves for all of this uncertainty? Us as in DACA recipients, us as an immigrant community, or just us as allies?
That's a good question. Basically, what I've been saying is to hope for the best and prepare for the worst. So there are some great options of ways that people might have a pathway to citizenship on the horizon. But that doesn't mean that people shouldn't prepare now in case there's an immigration emergency down the line. So I recommend that people do 3 things. The first is talk to a lawyer. Get a legal screening. You can see that you may qualify for other immigration relief that may give you a pathway to citizenship. The second thing is to attend a Know Your Rights training. So we all have rights when we're interacting with immigration officials, and we can defend ourselves during arrests and make sure that we have a chance to fight deportations if we get arrested. And there's workshops all over the city in regards to Know Your Rights. So find one of those, attend them, and share your rights with your family and friends.
We also host numerous Know Your Rights workshops, some with Tim, some with our own staff members. So please call us at 773-523-7110 if you would like to host a Know Your Rights workshop at your school or at your place of business. Or call us and check our website or our Facebook page if you want to attend one that's currently happening. We recently had one at Curie High School, so we're all over the schools on the southwest side, all the churches, all public spaces. What else should we do to prepare ourselves, Tim?
Yeah, create a safety plan. So, imagine what would happen if someone in your family is arrested and make a plan of what to do. Okay. Think who you're going to call if you're arrested. Who's your emergency contact? Who's going to take care of your kids? Who's going to pick up your kids from school? All that sort of long-term and short-term safety planning so that you're ready if something happens.
Who should be our first call, a lawyer or a trusted family member?
That's a good question. I always say it's good to have an emergency contact because when you get arrested, you get one call, right? So you need someone you can trust who can execute your safety plan. And then that person can call your family, can call your lawyer, and can call a helpline, 855-HELP-MY-FAMILY, to report any immigration raids that are happening and get connected to resources.
Oh, that's great to hear. And just a reminder, if you are undocumented and you have children in CPS, please make sure you update the information and add approval for one of your trusted family members to be able to take out your child out of school if necessary, because a lot of times CPS has different rules, so just make sure you get that done before in case something terrible like that happens. But you described, Tim, that everyone has rights, so even if you're an immigrant, you have the same rights that citizens do?
Yes, so it doesn't matter who you are, you have the same Miranda rights as everyone else. So we've all seen cops, right? You have the right to remain silent, the right to an attorney. Those are your 2 big rights. Okay. So if you're ever in contact with an immigration official or with a police officer, use these rights. Say that you're not going to answer any questions without your lawyer present. Don't sign anything without your lawyer present. Immigration officials are always going to try to push papers on you. Remember, you have these rights and you need to use them in order to make sure that you remain safe.
Should I give them my information or should I just stay quiet if I'm an undocumented person and stop by immigration or CPD? Or what's the best tactic for that?
That's a good question. So the immigration officials need 3 things to deport you, essentially. And these are the types of questions they're going to ask you. They want your name, your date of birth, and your immigration status. I feel comfortable with you giving them your name and date of birth because your attorney will be able to find you if you're detained with that information online. But don't give any information about immigration status. They're going to ask you things like, when did you come to the U.S.? When did you cross the border? Where were you born? Don't give them any information to that effect.
Okay, good to know. And they shouldn't carry any documents that may give that information out.
No, you should not carry around a matricula, consular ID. I really pronounced that poorly. Matricula. There we go.
Matricula.
Matricula. That's very good. And I sound like a gringo when I speak Spanish. Don't carry that around with you or your passport because that has immigration information on it, right? What you should carry is your driver's license. So if you don't have a driver's license and you qualify, or a TVDL, I recommend you apply for one right away. And one last thing I want to say is about what to do if an immigration official comes to your home. So imagine they're knocking on your door. The number one rule if an immigration official's at your home, don't open the door. Immigration can enter your home if they have a signed court order or if you give them permission to open. So verify that they have that signed court order signed by a judge. Have them slide under the door or show it in a window and read the order. Look for the judge's signature. Look for your address. If those pieces of information are on there, chances are they have a right to come in and legally they may be able to knock down your door.
Okay, very scary, but good to know. The renewal deadline is approaching. Do you have any tips and tricks for DACA recipients?
Two big things. Number one, the applications must be received by October 5th. So that means you should get these out by the end of the week to make sure that they get to immigration on time. And there's a number of immigration workshops, DACA renewal workshops that are happening this week. There's one at Kelly High School from 9 to 11 tomorrow. I will be there. There's also one at Curie High School from 11:30 to 1:30. I will also be there as well. And I will be at Back of the Yards High School from 2 to 5. We can get those applications done tomorrow if you come in and see me. If you can't make those workshops, check icirr.org. They have a number of DACA workshops listed on their events calendar. You can get all of that paperwork done as soon as possible.
And if you have, if you would like more information about renewal workshops, please call us at 773-523-7110. We're going to provide all this information on our website. You could also go to bpncchicago.org/DACA for all this information. Are there any organizations that are providing financial help to recipients? Because I know the fee, what is it, $495?
It's $495, a bit expensive, but there are organizations that are paying those fees for you. So check in with the Mexican Consulate, Mission Asset Fund, Enlace, and Protection for All. Those organizations are giving out money orders if you apply.
So Protection for All is currently raising funds. They had fundraisers for DACA recipients that don't qualify, that are not Mexican, so they don't qualify for the Mexican Consulate grant. So please email them at protectionforallmovement@gmail.com and they could provide you a scholarship. Their scholarship application is live, so they'll be able to help cover the funds. So please reach out to them for more information. But Tim, what's your advice to immigrants during this difficult time? So we're worried about DACA, worried about raids, we're worrying about the future. So what are your tips?
Yeah, that's a big question, but I always come back to two things. Hope for the best and prepare for the worst, right? Do that safety planning. Talk to a lawyer. If you need help, though, reach out. There's plenty of mental health resources. Check icirr.org for more info.
Yeah, so we also have a lot of mental health services on our website. So if you go to bpncchicago.org/DACA, every time we hear of any free mental health services, it's up on our website. If you want to call us, feel free to call us at 773-523-7110 for more information. Tim, are there other legal services out there for community members?
I mentioned getting a legal screening, right? I am a free lawyer. I can do pro bono consults with any community members. So check www.lawclef.org for my calendar. I believe it was also just shown on the document cam. or you can reach out to other organizations like National Immigrant Justice Center or Community Activism Law Alliance. They all provide free legal screenings to clients. So be sure to reach out to those community members and get a free legal screening as well, because you want to know what risks you're facing and if you may qualify for any other programs.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for joining us, Tim. Just a quick reminder, Light Heap for Priority 1 starts October 1st. So please stop by our office at 4477 South Archer Avenue for more information on how you can get help with your Light Heap services. If you would like more information on anything discussed here, please contact us today or this week. But thank you so much for joining us, Tim. I hope you all have a great week.
Thanks for having me.